Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to lesson 6. In this lesson, we're going to cover words like this and that, words that you use to refer to a noun that's either close to you or far away. So in English, there are two words that you use to refer to a noun that's close to you. This, if the noun is singular, or these, if the noun is plural. In Arabic, you also have to take the gender of the word into account. And so if you're referring to a singular masculine word that's close to you, you say hada. So if I want to say this is a book, hada kitabun. If the word is feminine, I use hadihi. Hadihi. For example, this is a table, hadihi tawilatun. If the word is plural, so if I want to say these are Muslims, for example, I can say haula'i. Haula'i muslimuna. And in this case, the same word is used both for masculine and for feminine. Alright, so that's if the word is close to you. If the word is far away, again in English we have either that or those. In Arabic, I use dhalika if it's a masculine word. So that is a book, dhalika kitabun. That is a table, tilka tawilatun. So the feminine word is tilka. And again, for the plural, I use the same word for masculine or feminine. I say ulaika. Ulaika. Okay, that means those. Alright, so all of these words in English, they're called demonstrative words. So I'll use this term, demonstrative words, to refer to any of these words. In Arabic, they're known as ismul ishara, so words of pointing. But in this lesson, we'll use the English phrase demonstrative words. Alright, so let's take a look at how do we actually use this in sentences. So there's two ways to use demonstrative words in Arabic. The first is with a definite noun. So let's take a look at a few examples here. هذا القرآن. This recitation. So you'll notice here that I'm using the word هذا with a definite noun, al-Qur'anu. And the way I translate that is this recitation. Okay? So this is not a complete sentence. This is not saying this is a recitation. It's just saying this recitation. And then I can add something onto that to make it a complete sentence. So for example, if I want to say this recitation is beautiful, هذا القرآن جميل. هذا القرآن جميل. This recitation is beautiful. But by itself, هذا القرآن is not a complete sentence. And you'll notice that consistently, whenever I use a demonstrative word with a definite noun, it doesn't form a complete sentence. Let's take a look at another example. هؤلاء القوم. These people. These people. هؤلاء is these. Al-Qawm is people. And you'll remember from lesson 2, we said that Al-Qawm is one of those words that is plural, that follows grammatical rules of plurality. And that's why we use ha'ula'i in this table here, ha'ula'i, to refer to Al-Qawm. هذه الأنهار. These rivers. Okay, so this is an interesting example. Why am I using... So the word here, anhar, is the plural of nahr, so it means rivers. Why am I using the singular feminine word, hadihi? Why am I using the singular feminine word to refer to this plural, this plural object, rivers? This is because it's a broken plural. So if you go back to lesson 2, and if you don't remember this, you should refresh your knowledge. Go back to lesson 2, we said that plural words, particularly broken plural words, they follow the grammatical rules of singular feminine. So whenever you apply an adjective or a demonstrative word, you should treat it as if it was a singular feminine word. That's why we have هذه الأنهار. And finally, ذلك الكتاب, that book. Alright, so in all of these examples, what have you seen? You've seen that it's a demonstrative word followed by al, followed by the noun. And the way we translate that in English is we just have the demonstrative word and then you have the noun. You don't have the word is in between or anything like that. You just have this phrase, this recitation. Now the second usage of these demonstrative words is with an indefinite noun. So let's take a look at an example. هذه ناقة. This is a she camel or female camel. Now in this case, naqatun is indefinite. How do we know that? Because of the tanween, the double dhamma. So this is a she camel. So you'll notice that the English translation now is a complete sentence. This is a she camel. So that, and let's take a look at another example here. Tilka ummatun. That is a community. That is a community. Again, you have an indefinite noun, and therefore I put the word is in between to make it a complete sentence. Okay, and in both of these examples, you'll see that we have the feminine demonstrative word used because both of these words are demonstrative. Because both of these words are feminine rather, and they have to agree in terms of gender. Okay, now I will add one more thing that if you want to have a noun that is definite, but you also want to form a complete sentence, you can use the pronoun of separation. So this is something that we covered in the last lesson. You can say something like هذا هو الحق. This is the truth. Okay, this is the truth. This allows you to have a complete sentence with a definite noun. What would happen if you didn't put huwa, if you didn't put this pronoun of separation? If you just had هذا الحق, what would that mean? That would mean this truth. This truth. And so that wouldn't give it that whole complete sentence like we have here. So that's where the pronoun of separation can be helpful. Okay, so let's summarize what we've seen in usage number 2. Here we have a demonstrative word followed by a noun. هذه ناقة. And what we see here is that the English translation now includes an is or an are to make it a complete sentence. This is a she camel. Alright, so we'll summarize the two ways that we can use demonstrative pronouns. I just want you to understand the difference very clearly, so I'll put them here. The first way is هذا القرآن, this recitation. You have demonstrative, you have al, you have noun. And by the way, I should mention that sometimes you can't put al because the word already has, for example, a suffix. So let's say the word is kitabi, my book, but you want to say something like this book of mine. You can't put al here because you can't have al-kitabi. You can't have al and a noun with a suffix. So what you do instead is you move the demonstrative word after the noun with the suffix. So you say kitabi hada, this book of mine. So this is not as common. So typically you'll have this structure here. So demonstrative followed by al followed by noun. But sometimes you do see this as well. So I did want to mention it. So if you have a noun with a suffix, the demonstrative word comes afterwards. So again, to summarize, there's two ways to use demonstrative words. The first is with a definite noun, in which case the English translation doesn't have is, هذا القرآن, this recitation. And then you have to add something else to make it a complete sentence. The other usage is with a definite noun, with an indefinite noun, in which case the English translation has an is, هذه ناقة, this is a she camel. Alright, so again, the best way to practice this is with some examples. So I'll give you some examples in Arabic. Try translating them yourself, and then I will tell you the answers here. So number 1, هذه الحياة. هذه الحياة. Hayatun means life. So هذه الحياة means this life. This life. Why isn't it this is a life? Or this is the life? Because of the al here. Because of the al here. Again, if you have hada or hadihi followed by a word with al, then it becomes one continuous phrase. This life. هذا رحمة من ربي. Okay, so this combines a few of the different grammatical rules we've covered in the last few lessons. So this is a good example. هذا رحمة من ربي. This is a mercy. This is a mercy from my Lord. هذا رحمة من ربي. This is a mercy from my Lord. ذلك الفضل من الله. Al-Fadl is the bounty. So this whole translation is that bounty is from God. That bounty is from God. Let's do a few more. هذا حلال وهذا حرام. This is halal and this is haram. So this is allowed and this is forbidden. هذا شيء عجيب. So عجيب means marvelous in Arabic. So هذا شيء عجيب. This is a marvelous thing. So shay means thing. So this is a marvelous thing. So this is what's happening here is you have a noun and an adjective. And so this adjective is referring to this noun. So marvelous thing. They're both indefinite. You can also check that they follow all four of the rules of consistency. So they're both masculine, they're both singular, they're both marfu' case. And they're both indefinite. And so again, we have hada followed by an indefinite phrase in this case. And so this whole thing becomes, this is a marvelous thing. هذه سبيلي. Sabil means path. Sabili means my path. هذه سبيلي. This is my path. Alright, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for listening. If you found this lesson beneficial, I have one thing to ask from you, and that is to share it with one other person that could benefit from it. Maybe it's one of your friends who's trying to learn Arabic, maybe it's a family member, but please share it with them so that they can also benefit from this lesson, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.